Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure review, and today we are looking at this. This is the G.I. Joe Duke action figure from Hasbro. Okay, so what makes this figure different than some of the other G.I. Joe figures that you see in the stores is that this is actually a much larger action figure. It kind of comes in at about, I want to say, 9 inches. So what you're looking at here is a 9-inch G.I. Joe action figure. I purchased this at one of my local Walgreens, and even though it was listed here for $9.99, Walgreens, when it rung up, it actually rang up as $10.99. So you're looking at roughly, about a $9 or $10 action figure, give or take $1. And this is one of those action figures that serious collectors really loathe. These kind of action figures are kind of in line like with the much more common Hasbro like Titan series, or I believe they're called Titan Hero action figures. So the Titan Hero action figures are the budget action figures that you find like at Walmart and at Target, and often those are like 12-inch plastic action figures. You've probably seen them before. There's like Hasbro released like Avengers and Spider-Man, and I think like Spin Master will release like the equivalent of a Titan Hero with their Batman line. So this is a slightly smaller than a Titan Hero figure. These are 9 inches tall. As I've mentioned before, I purchased this one at Walgreens, and I've seen Walgreens carry other lines of similar figures. Like I remember seeing an Avengers Captain America at the 9-inch scale. At my local mall, there's a couple of Star Wars figures produced by Hasbro that are in this scale. I saw a First Order Stormtrooper, a Kylo Ren, and Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker. But today we're going to be looking at this G.I. Joe Duke figure. So right off the bat, this is going to be a mint on card review. I'm not going to actually take it out just because I'm not sure if I have the entire set yet. And I think once I have the entire set, then I'll figure out what I want to do with it. Generally, like if this was pre-pandemic, I would instantly open this up and use it as a desk toy at my office. But since I haven't been in the office all that much, since I'm working remotely, for now I'm just going to keep this on the card until I figure out, what I plan to do with it. But for now, we're going to look at it on the card, and since it's an opened air box, meaning there's no window, you can actually handle it. It does provide us, with a close look at the figure, minus, taking a look at the articulation. So yeah, we have G.I. Joe Duke. He's kind of like one of the flagship characters of G.I. Joe, and on the hero side, I believe his real name is Conrad Hauser, I think. So this comes in at 9 inches, and even though collectors refer to these kind of toys as shampoo bottles just because they're giant hollow pieces of plastic, in my opinion, I kind of hold these figures in high regard, just because they're not aimed at the serious collector. Right off the bat, they tell you it's ages 4 and up. And a toy at this size, it's really aimed at like, younger kids probably like toddlers and, kids in preschool or kindergarten. It's a much larger figure. They're easy to like, hold in their hand and play and knock around with. And for me, I enjoy stuff like this just because, it's just that. It's a toy. For me, it's something I'm not going to take seriously. One thing I do appreciate about something like this is that even though it's a budget figure and it's aimed at little kids, the quality of the sculpting is actually incredibly high for a toy like this. Like it might lack a lot of the articulation that you get like in a G.I. Joe Classified or Marvel Legends, but as a display piece, I think this is a beautiful addition to any G.I. Joe collection, especially if you're not like dedicated to a single style in your collection. Like for some people, they're all about collecting the 3 3/4 figures. Other people are all about collecting the 6-inch figures. But if you're one of those people that just collects different things across the board, I think this is something definitely for you, just because it's a great modern interpretation of the character. The sculpting's well done. Even though it's missing some paint application, I still think it's worth the price, even though I paid $1 more than the suggested retail. So as we examine the figure, let's take a look at the packaging first. As I mentioned, this is an open air package, meaning there is no window. So that's normally stuff like that. It's a dead giveaway that this isn't aimed for a serious collector. You know, with it being an open air window, it makes the toy easily accessible, so the parent can easily bring this home, take scissors, snip out the ties, and just immediately pull the figure out for the kid to play with. Color-wise, they're using a similar color blue as you'll see on the G.I. Joe Classified series. Even though the graphic design and layout is different, at least the color scheme kind of retains that similar element. So even if you are a mint on card collector, you can still display this piece mint on card next to your G.I. Joe Classified series, just because the color scheme is kind of in line with the classified stuff. So in the background, you kind of have this like die cut of a star in the background behind Duke. There's a wonderful image in the back. The sides, very plain. He just had the G.I. Joe logo. And on the back, there's a really cool illustration of Duke here. And there's even a tiny bio. It says, Duke is the go-to squad leader capable of command on any type of mission. And what's curious here is that this interpretation of Duke is actually Duke from the G.I. Joe Classified series and also from the recent G.I. Joe video game. I love this image a lot, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't use this graphic as the corner graphic on the G.I. Joe Classified series box, because I love that G.I. Joe Classified series figure of Duke, but on the box art, I can't stand that cartoony image of him. Not that it's a bad drawing, but it just doesn't flow with all the other illustrations that we've gotten with the Classified line. So yeah, it's awesome. You have this really nice illustration of Duke. Now, examining the figure up close, as I've mentioned, the sculpting is actually really well done. The cuts are really sharp. The definition's really there. It's not soft sculpted at all, especially since this is a harder plastic. Like, if you shrunk this figure down, the amount of detail is equivalent to that of a G.I. Joe Classified series. You know, I kind of firmly believe that. And in some cases, I actually kind of think that there's a possibility that some of this might actually be the G.I. Joe Classified series figure, but scaled up. Like, I don't know what the exact process is of creating a G.I. Joe Classified series. Like, I don't know if the prototypes are hand sculpted or if they're digital, you know, CG models. But if they're CG models, I can see the possibility of them taking those CG models and, you know, modifying it, adding and subtracting articulation, but keeping, you know, essentially the mold of the character and this upscaling it. But yeah, the sculpting is really well done. There's a nice texture along his pants. The folds are really crisp on his uniform. And it's like I said, the head is really nice. It's really well done. Yeah, if you look at that, it's really cool. Now, this is one of those toys that I think, you know, in the right hands, like someone that's a customizer or a modeler, you know, I could easily see someone taking this and doing a complete repaint and making it look really realistic. And, you know, maybe even taking it a step further and customizing it by giving it the additional accessories to really make it stand out and look like Duke, as he does in, like, either the Classified series or, you know, in the cartoon or the other toys. Like, the only thing he seems to be missing accessory-wise when you look at the costume is that he's missing the harness that runs over his chest and shoulder. Now, one thing that's very common with figures like this is that, you know, there won't be as many paint applications as you'd like. So Duke's uniform, it looks very bare bones. Normally there's like a kind of like a green trim along the top of his shoulders and upper sleeve, but that seems to be absent. Normally his rank insignia is colored in gold. As with the belt, you know, it's easy for them to just, like, you know, this mold is all in green. So, I mean, if that's going to be the case, you're going to be missing all the color that's supposed to exist here. Now, in terms of articulation, as I've stated before, a lot of collectors refer to this as like a shampoo bottle toy. So it's essentially just a giant hollow piece of plastic. So in terms of articulation, you're only going to get the head, which goes left and right. So the head rotates. And in terms of the arms, I think the only articulation you're getting is arm. So right there, his arms are going to rotate up and down because you can see the cut right there. I believe this does not have a wrist swivel or a waist swivel. So you're essentially looking at an action figure that only has 3 points of articulation. You know, just the head, which is on a ball joint, and the arms. So, I mean, in my opinion, you know, if you're paying $10 for this, I think it's worth it if you're someone that just wants a cool display piece, or if you're someone that just wants a fun, you know, toy to have at your desk at the office. It's nothing to be taken seriously, so I always kind of think it's kind of odd when, you know, the hardcore collectors scoff at these things, because in all honesty, they're not aimed at the hardcore collector. These are aimed at kids and, you know, maybe impulse buyers. But it's awesome. I mean, it looks like Duke, you know, minus a couple of accessories and color application. But in terms of the engineering that goes into it, it's very limited. It's, you know, it's not going to be like 20 points of articulation. But at least what it lacks in articulation, it makes up for in terms of the sculpting. You know, the sculpting I think is superb, especially for a figure at this size. And he does come with his weapon right here. And I believe it's the same weapon that he carries here. So now, since we're on the subject of Duke, I actually have the Classified series figure here. So one of the things that I was looking at this figure closely, and as I stated before, I kind of think that parts of this figure might be upscaled from this. So I think they might actually share maybe like a similar digital file that they work off of. Just because if you look at the folds on this sleeve and this sleeve, they're almost identical. Likewise, there's folds on his uniform that kind of match. Like the pockets kind of match. The head sculpt kind of matches. And what's nice is that this head looks almost exactly like this one. But since it's scaled up, there's actually more definition and more detail in this face. But this one has a better paint application overall. And as you can see, they share a lot of the same accessories. They both share the same knee pads, the same shin guards. And the shin guards even have identical bullet holes in each side. So there's two indents of bullet damage on this shin, and same with this one. And it's the exact same as this and on there. So I really do think that these share probably the same digital file when they create these. Yeah, so I think this is a standout figure, especially for the price you're paying. And it's even cool. You're even getting the exact same weapon, but it's just scaled up. And just for the hell of it, here's another Duke. I believe this is the 25th anniversary Duke that came out years ago. I was going to dig out my old school one, but it's beat up to hell because that was the one I had as a child. So yeah, we have 3 different versions of Duke here. Alright, so if I had to rate this figure here on, you know, numerically on a scale of 1 to 10, for what it is, my first impression would be to give it an 8. You know, that might sound ridiculous and being overly generous, but you know, for what it is, it's aimed at, you know, kids 4 and up. The quality you're getting, I think, is pretty high, even though it's lacking some paint application. Because for me, the detail is there, the sculpting is superb. It comes with his weapon, and if you're a customizer or someone that likes to dabble in, you know, like model kits and stuff, I think there's a really high potential here for creating a beautiful custom. So I really do think it's worth the purchase. Unfortunately, I paid $1 more than the retail price, but you know, that's okay. So, you know, if you see this in the stores, give it a look-see. You know, if it's something that's right up your alley, you know, I think it's worth the purchase. But if you're, you know, just happy collecting the 3 3/4 figures or the Classified series figures, you know, just keep on doing what you're doing. I don't really think you're going to be missing out on much if you pass on this. But I do think this is a quality figure. So once again, let's wrap this up. My name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you so much for your comments, likes, and support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, stay safe, take care, buy lots of toys, and I will talk to you later. Bye.